sticking records, got the lights down low. Souldisco, where the groovy people go. Hit play, let the music flow. Old school beats with a modern glow.
Hello everybody and a very warm welcome back to the latest episode of Hidden Jewels of Soul and Disco. I do hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. In this week's episode, I'm featuring the legendary Minnie Riperton.
I would imagine that in my life, everything I've heard has influenced me. You know what I mean? But no one in particular, because I don't think I sound like anyone.
This episode will be very different from the ones I usually do, because I consider myself very lucky and privileged to have access and found some interviews from Minnie. The complete interviews, as far as they are available online, you'll find the links in the description. I tried to enhance the audio quality as much as possible. For me, it's always very important to find these pieces and bits and everything when it comes from the artist himself, because who could have told the story of the life better than the person who was there when it happened. So let's get into the story of Minnie Riperton. Minnie Julia Riperton was born on November the 8th in 1947 and passed away on July the 12th in 1979. Let's hear from herself about her beginnings.
Minnie is my mother's name. I was born at 546 East Oakwood Boulevard. In fact, I came so fast that my mother didn't have a chance to go to the hospital, so I was born at home. I'm 27 now. I'll be 28 November 8th this year. It makes me a Scorpio. I've seen pictures of myself when I was a little kid, and I was always hamming it up because all my older brothers and sisters, they studied music, in college and just as growing up. So it was inevitable. I just wanted to try. I had, that kind of zest, I guess, for just creativity. I went to Oakland Grammar School around the neighborhood where I lived, where I was born, until I was 8, and we moved to Woodlawn. And I went to John Fisk, where I really had a really good education. The first true education I had some fantastic teachers. I graduated from Fisk and I went to Hyde Park, where I just had a ball. I didn't do nothing but have a ball. I was in a cappella choir. I was one of the youngest members. I was a freshman, and as a matter of fact, you usually become a sophomore when you join a cappella choir. We had the best choir in the city. That was the only class I never cut. Yeah, I was in a group called the Gems, and it was really exciting for all my friends because I was, the crazy one. I was a nut in high school. I used to do the most bizarre, ridiculous things, but all in fun. I auditioned and I got the part, and it took a long time to convince my father that this was something I wanted to do. He thought I wanted to abandon my music lessons because, they had to work hard to pay for them, and that was extra money. And I reassured him that I was not not going to abandon what I was already doing, because that was something that was just as equally important, but I really had to try it. So they signed the contract and said that I could be involved in it. And less than a week later, I was in the studio recording my idea. And my mother was in a vocal technique class. And it was just so fascinating. I would go and see them, and at the end of the year, there was a place called Lincoln Center that's on Oakwood Boulevard. Okay, and that's where I first started my ballet and acting and voice lessons there with Mary and Jeffrey. And a lady by the name of Mrs. Spence was my ballet teacher. And I really wanted to try rock and roll, because I could get up there and shake a little bit. I mean, really, it's one of my fantasies to do that. And I was 14 and 15, and I was more in love with life than I was with any particular young man. There were a lot of young men in those days, but I was never really in love. I was infatuated. At the same time, I was meeting all kinds of people, the Gems with their backgrounds, everybody that came out of Chicago just about. And I got to meet all kinds of really for our people, a lot of people that I learned a lot of incredible things that I live with today. People like Etta James, Ramsey Lewis, Montel Bass, Johnny Nash. I need to name the whole chess roster to know all those people. I was really fortunate to really come across, meet paths with all those people. After that, I was upgrading all my studio work. I did a lot of radio and television commercials and made a nice living on it. I was still a young lady, and had I had my own apartment, and I had my own money, and I was not doing too bad, and I was enjoying it. And in between that space, I joined Rotary Connection. I thought it was time to go. We wanted to live a year in the sun. My old man and I, we had a child then. We had a little boy. And I was writing, and I really wanted something other than what I was doing as far as music industry. I'd been approached by a lot of record labels, and I just knew that there were other things other than what I was into in Chicago. So we moved, we traveled around, and I'd lived in a lot of places. We lived in a van, and it was a lot of fun, and I became pregnant with my second child. I ended up in Gainesville, Florida, which is kind of an obscure place to be, but it was the perfect place for me to live at that point with my family. It was like a little magical paradise. It was an incredible community right in the heart of the South.
Here is a clip from a talk show where she appeared, where you can also hear some bits and pieces from her past.
Sort of thing. My voice teacher, Marian Jeffrey, who lives in Chicago, she told me once after a performance, she had read that I was like 4.5 or 5, and she told me
That's incredible.
emphatically that you are 5.5 octaves. And that's it.
And a wide range, 2 octaves would be a wide range for a singer, really.
I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed.
You studied it is. It is. You are blessed. So good. And you have it's so flexible, your voice. Do you have to vocalize a lot before you perform?
No, I just run my mouth to the guys, tell them what to do. They should get their act together and their manners and dress better. That's how I get my vocal exercise.
Yeah, you got to raise up back out.
No, I vocal exercise, but not really before I go on. I haven't in years.
But you've had operatic training and everything.
I studied for 9.5 years.
Wow.
Did you want to be an opera singer?
Yeah, I wanted to be the opera, ballerina, acting, twirling baton, whatever it was, right, yes. I did have aspirations to be an opera singer. I visioned myself. Maybe one day I will be. I'm young.
I found a very interesting quote from Minnie regarding these talk shows, and I wanted to include this piece because it matters as much today as it did back then. Because what does it mean for an artist to be asked about the latest recipe you tried or the latest adventures you did in your free time when there is so much more to talk about?
Well, I mean, usually on the talk shows, they're overbooked to begin with.
Yeah, how do you mean
Overbooked. They have too many people on a talk show.
Really?
That's how I see it for an hour. There's like 8 people.
Oh.
That's just, how can you learn? How could you learn? How could you learn any information from anyone other than just the run-of-the-mill information? You can't really feel what an artist is really like in depth, because it's just sort of general questions and then on to the next person, or sing a song and then the next person comes in. And I'm very particular, so I just don't want to be that much a part of the whole that way. It's not that I'm knocking them. It's just that when I go on, I want something to be something to talk about other than, well, what sort of meals do you cook? And I see that, and to me it's a waste of airtime. I think airtime is precious. The television medium is an extraordinary media, and I think it can be harmful to an artist or to a person if it's not done right.
In 1970, Minnie released her debut album, Come to My Garden, and here it is in all of its 70s glory. It includes one of my favorite songs, Close Your Eyes and Remember. What you see here is the 1974 promo reissue of this album. If you want to have an original copy of this album, it got expensive during the last couple of years, sometimes even up to $170. Once again, depending on the condition. In 1974, Minnie released the album Perfect Angel, and I think this is the album she's most remembered for because it included the hit single Lovin You, which got to #1 in April of 1975. Near her death, at the end of the song, you hear her calling out Maya, 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 her daughter's name, and shortly before she died, she changed the lyrics to Maya, Maya, Ringo, Maya. Ringo was her son's name, but we will get to this a little later. In 1975, she released Adventures in Paradise, which included the song Inside My Love, and shortly after its release, the song got banned from the radio stations. If we think a little further away when we think about Donna Summer doing Love to Love You and some other songs, it's kind of ridiculous to ban that from the radio because it was also a different meaning than certain people expected, but we will get to this. Before, I want to show you a clip about an incident that happened during the shooting of a commercial for Adventures in Paradise.
No, I remember that when you were posing for the cover of an album, you were hurt. Remember that?
This was a couple years ago. The album was entitled Adventures in Paradise. I've always had this thing about the album covers should be just as conceptual as the record itself.
I think you're right.
And I always wanted something
Here's the
striking.
film. Watch this, folks. Here's the album cover, okay? That is for real. That's a lion.
Well, the lion on the cover was a different lion. And the record company said, oh, gee, I think we should make a commercial and do a film showing the actual setting with the lion. And so I said, okay. I did it the first time, so I said I'd do it if it was the same lion. And when I walked in, I saw that it wasn't the same lion. You can kind of tell those things.
And watch what happened at this filming. I think a lot of you probably read about this. Now watch.
See him licking his chops. He sees this young thing walking in, and
Oh, man.
says, mm-hmm.
Oh,
I wasn't hurt.
oh, you weren't. I want to tell you, as big as he was, he moved rather quickly,
I'll tell
didn't he?
it was I wasn't as frightened as everyone else was. It happened so quickly, and I sort of
Was
sensed
that his
it.
trainer, the first man in there?
No, that was my husband.
1976, she released the album Stay in Love, and the last album which was released during her lifetime was in 1979, the album Minnie. But let's hear some aspects of recording Stay in Love and Adventures from Paradise, or Adventures in Paradise, from Minnie herself.
Your latest album has a very definite message, the love story in it. Was it conceived like that? Could you write the series of songs with that in mind beforehand?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. How over what, or a long period was that all brought together? Or?
Over, I would say close to a year. There were other songs that were written as well, but we couldn't put everything in, and all of them, you know.
Did you record the ones that weren't used in it?
Some of them I did record.
And then you made the final selection afterwards?
Yeah. I wrote it as a story.
Sure.
And from a woman's point of view, usually all the love stories you always hear and is always written the way a guy says it. You know, even when women sing them, it's a man has written them. And women definitely have ideas about how they want to say things to men and how they feel about things. And I did that on my last album, and I wrote this song, Inside My Love, and it was banned in a couple of cities.
Really?
Yeah, because they really didn't listen to the song. They thought it was too suggestive because the song was about two people meeting and this whole thing, and the woman said, "You can see inside me. Will you come inside me?" And of course they thought I was talking about screwing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they had listened to the words in the beginning, they would have understood that the woman was saying, here I am. You can see me, if, you come and see me, come inside my love. Feel me, feel the spirit in me. And after that, I think, after that record, then everybody started coming out with the moaning and groaning and the panting and I want to do it to you and you're the right size and all these really, but they didn't even really listen to the record.
I loved Minnie's philosophy about life. And there was a segment in an interview which I absolutely wanted to include in this video because I totally adored what she was saying here.
I mean, on this planet, I didn't, because it's just too much to enjoy. There's too much beauty around us is on the planet. I mean, there's nothing on this planet that's imported from any place else. And look at all the incredible stuff that's here. And the beauty that art and people and the beauty of the planet brings you. It's just, people are so involved in what color someone is and what religion it is. And about 5,000 years from now, when everybody's mixed with everything and there's no such thing as this or that, then what? It won't even matter.
I can only imagine what it means to get the devastating news that you have a terminal disease. And what it means to tell this to your loved ones. In January of 1976, Minnie got this news. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had surgery, but she got the news that the cancer already spread and that she has 6 months to live, which she obviously outlived. As far as my research concerns, she was the first celebrity to acknowledge this sickness on television. And she made it very clear that it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not your fault, and it's nothing you need to hide of, to go in a secret group where you could discuss your problems with your sickness and everything. That's a different way of dealing with this. And as far as what I've read and what I've researched is that many people were very thankful for this, women and men. And here are some statements from her regarding her disease.
The last time you were here, we had quite a serious discussion. We talked about the operation you'd had. You'd had a mastectomy. What kind of response did you get from that appearance?
I've gotten incredible amounts of response from all kinds of people, not only women, but a lot of men who really appreciated the whole thing.
Because it takes a lot of courage to talk about, I think.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm just myself. So
Millions of people are listening to you.
It's true. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that the men responded, because my question to you was going to be, when you had to tell your husband, and I bravo him,
He had to tell me. That's what happened.
Really? That was the other way around.
It was the other way around. He knew before I did, and he just said, whatever. That's not the most important thing in our lives. And he has also been, we've been going on quite a few talk shows together in a lot of the major cities, aside from a national Good Morning program, talking about it. I've talked about it. I've been on television talking about it, and there's been articles written about it in magazines. And I talked very frankly about it because I know women just don't do that. It's because when I had my mastectomy, they wanted me to join some little hidden group to talk about how bad I felt. I feel bad, but I don't feel bad because of that. I feel bad because of a lot of reasons. My hormones are freaking out, and as well as, what's happened to me. It's not the fact that I'm a woman who's lost a breast and I'm ruined for life. I mean, if I had to have both breasts and my arms off,
You're still alive.
I would be alive, and that's what mattered more, to me. And a lot of women were sort of like really hiding behind that and not really understanding. So I thought, when the time came that it would be right for me to talk about it, because being a young woman, being a woman in the public eye, and I think that would help a lot of people, a lot of women, as well as men too.
In 1977, she became the spokesperson for the American Cancer Society and was also acknowledged by then President Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yeah. It was a very nice experience. As a matter of fact, that particular day, NBC was doing a documentary on him, A Day in the Life of the President. So if you ever see the documentary, you'll see the whole thing. The whole just conversation.
In 1978, she even appeared on a commercial for the American Cancer Society, claiming that after her surgery, she's healthy again, which was obviously not the case. But looking back, I think hearing this and you are having the same disease may help you that there is a possibility of healing. So in these circumstances, I really appreciated that she appeared in that commercial and gave hope to many people. Or let me put it that way, she became a beacon of hope for many people who have the same or had the same disease.
Happened that abruptly. I got cancer. I lost a breast. But I saved the rest of my life because I examined myself early. Now I'm healthy. I picked up my life where it left off.
You remember when I talked about Loving You? This song was actually a song which was written for her daughter Maya. So the song was played and her baby child Maya got a little calm and she could have some quality time with her husband. Near the end of her career, like I mentioned earlier, she changed the lyrics, just not saying Maya, Maya, but also including her son Ringo. And here is a little snippet of that song. I also put the complete version of that song in the description down below. Unfortunately, I couldn't play the whole song because of YouTube restrictions.
Maya, Maya, Ringo, Maya, Ringo, Maya, Ringo, Maya, la, 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 la.
On July the 12th in 1979, this broadcast was aired.
And Minnie Riperton, the singer and songwriter best known for her 1975 recording of Loving You, died of cancer today in Los Angeles. She was 31.
Minnie Riperton will always hold a special place in my heart, especially if you know people or have known people, unfortunately, who had the same sickness and passed away. So therefore, it's very important to bring that message out and being so strong and saying, hey, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Next to that, her musical legacy is absolutely tremendous. She had an unusual singing voice, a voice that stands out. And if you have the chance, if you not have already done that, please check out her musical career. Please check out her albums. Thank you very much for watching. This was not, like I mentioned earlier, if you have known someone who was close to you who passed away from the same disease, it was not the easiest episode for me to do so. It took a while. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stay healthy, stay safe. Till then.